Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, Attorney General condemns opposition leaders' statements while Mr. Linton gives reasons for his call for the judge's recusal from election petitions matter. Consumer rights advocates hopeful relevant legislation will be in effect soon, and 100 students who are studying abroad now safely home. The details coming up.
Corner, yay, and in our hearts we are with you. We are so grateful for all you do. We want to say thank you, 'cause when we need you, you're always there, risking it all to keep us safe. You are our heroes, so we sing the song for you. No matter the time, you're by our side to always make sure we are secure. Our hearts are filled with thanks, 'cause you give your all and more. So we send in our love from Sagicor. Yes, Sagicor, sending our love to you.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
First up in the news, opposition leader Lennox Linton has given reasons for demanding Justice Bernie Stevenson recuse herself from a ruling on government's application to strike out election petitions brought by the UWP. The UWP filed petitions challenging the outcome of 10 of the 21 constituencies in the December 2019 general election.
The Labour Party ministers of government in 2014-2015 sued me for defamation, arising out of that statement that there can be no honor in a government that harbors rapist ministers. And Bernie Stevenson accepted a request from Tony Astafan, the lawyer for the government side, that my defense, a defense in a defamation matter, my defense in a defamation matter, should be struck out. She struck it out, basically saying that even before you appear before me, you, Mr. Lennox Linton, I have found you guilty. Go and pay the ministers of government the money they're asking you for. That's the treatment that I get. I'm not even, she doesn't even entitle me in a matter of defamation. I am an elected member of the parliament. I am the leader of the opposition, and she doesn't even entitle me to a defense in a defamation matter. She tosses my defense to hand a victory before trial, without any trial, to the members of the government side. And I must look at somebody like that and say it's justice that she's dispensing. You haven't even heard me. You don't even want to hear my case.
Mr. Linton has also pointed to the treating matter as another example of why he has no confidence in Justice Stevenson.
Remember, what her ruling meant was that she believes in her heart that the members of the government have immunity from prosecution for criminal actions, with the exception of them coming through an election petition, which essentially is civil, is a civil matter. So as far as she's concerned, nothing to do with anybody who has won an election, right? In terms of their conduct in that elections, or in the campaign to that election, nothing to do with that can come before the court except it comes an election petition. Even though, if you contest election, according to her, and you do not succeed, criminal action can be taken against you because you're not in the parliament anymore. The validity of your membership is not being challenged. But you cannot be brought before the court because as far as Bernie Stevenson is concerned, there are two classes of citizen in Dominica. One class that has no immunity whatsoever from prosecution for criminal matters, and a class that is because those people that she's protecting and giving immunity happen to be members of the Parliament of Dominica. Not members of the Parliament of Dominica, so especially the government side. So that was her ruling. And that, in a real way, demonstrated to you the bias that she is operating with.
Prime Minister Skerrit has condemned Mr. Linton's public criticism of Justice Stevenson, saying the judge does not have the luxury of responding publicly because of her position. Mr. Skerrit says there is a process in law for one to object to someone adjudicating a matter, but this is not the way. Meantime, Attorney General Levi Peter has joined Prime Minister Skerrit and the Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan in condemning the opposition leader's attacks on Justice Bernie Stevenson. Opposition leader Lennox Linton says Justice Stevenson cannot be fair, impartial, independent and objective where the dispensation of justice is concerned, as it involves the UWP, and should therefore recuse herself from the election petitions matter. The Attorney General describes Mr. Linton's statements as a disgraceful and baseless attack on the resident judge.
Over recent days, an utterly reprehensible, baseless and unacceptable verbal attack has been whipped up here in Dominica by Mr. Lennox Linton, leader of the opposition, and followers against a resident judge, Her Ladyship the Honourable Justice Bernie Stevenson. Mr. Linton knows now, and he knew full well, both at the time that he launched his initial attack on the competency, professionalism and integrity of Her Ladyship and the court, and at the time of his upgraded version of that attack yesterday afternoon, that what he was doing was wrong. That attack, though directed primarily at Her Ladyship Justice Stevenson, is also a frontal and unwarranted attack on the judiciary as a whole and cannot be allowed to stand unchallenged. Indeed, it must be and is hereby roundly condemned. Whilst Dominica is a constitutional democracy, and as such, each and every member of this society, including Mr. Linton, is entitled to and has the right of freedom of expression, including to criticize judgments of the court. That freedom does not extend to launching baseless, politically motivated and malicious attacks on the competence, professionalism and integrity of individual judges, or, for that matter, the judiciary.
The Bar Association has come under fire for its press release this week, warning against making certain statements about the judiciary on radio and social media. The Bar Association said it was aware of recent statements made on radio and social media alleging bias against a sitting judge and demanding the judge recuse herself from hearing a striking out application brought by government against election petitions filed with regard to the December 2019 election. Both the Prime Minister and Senior Counsel Astafan believe the DBA statement was weak, but they are not alone. Attorney Earl Williams is criticizing the Bar Association for other reasons. Some are asking why speak out on this issue while remaining silent on others.
As attorneys, you're supposed to give advocacy and advocate for the lesser people in our community, for the poor people, for the people that are being abused, for the people that are facing injustice. And for so many years, we have people facing injustice in Dominica. The Human Rights Commission, when they gave the report in Dominica on April 2nd, they said one of the things they based on, they say pre-trial detention. And pre-trial detention is when you are arrested and you have to be held on remand until your case trial if you cannot get bail. They're saying that it's too long. They hold them in detention, the length of time holding them in detention is excessive. And these are your existing clients. You have an international body saying your clients, when you have your clients and they cannot get bail, the government have them inside for too long. Yet, we have heard none of them talk about it. Whereas they're supposed to represent the clients with zealousness. They have to put everything in representing their clients. And yet, some other organization has to be talking on their behalf, on their clients' behalf in Dominica. They also talk about the demonstration where excessive force is being used. And these are the people who have the excessive force. These are your clients again. They said, we haven't seen no investigation, no prosecution, no punishment of the perpetrators, and no reparation.
Meantime, the Bar Association says the rule of law, in particular the independence of the judiciary, is alive and well in Dominica. In its press release issued earlier this week, the DBA said any party who is dissatisfied with a decision of a sitting judge at first instance has the right to appeal that decision to the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal, and if dissatisfied with the decision of the Court of Appeal, to appeal to the Caribbean Court of Justice or Final Appellate Court. The DBA says it respects the right of every individual to have his own personal opinion on a decision issued by the court and to exercise his or her right of appeal. But the DBA says it also recognizes that it is of paramount importance that all persons have and are aware of their right of access to the courts with regard to any legal grievance, and that they have full confidence in the independence and integrity of our judicial system. It says the fact that a trial judge rules against a party and or that the judge's decision is overturned on appeal in no way means that this judge was incompetent or is biased. In other news now, advocates for consumer rights are hopeful the relevant legislation to protect such rights will come into effect soon. Andrea Louis has more.
Protecting consumers' rights is the practice of safeguarding those who purchase goods and services against unfair practices in the marketplace. Consumer protection measures are often established by law, and Dominica is yet to take the necessary steps to enact the necessary piece of legislation. In recent times, consumers often complain when there is a sudden hike in the price of goods, such as what occurred after Hurricane Maria and during the COVID-19 crisis. Secretary of the Dominica Consumers Protection Association, Anthony Scotland, says price control is extremely important, especially in small societies.
The concept is to get consumers aware of their rights. And in Dominica, we also have the issue of legislation. Because right now, we just have only 3 products in Dominica under price control. Price control is important in a small society. Because you will find that people just put on price willy-nilly, and some countries have gone and actually put a number of the products that you buy under control. The Dominica is just cement and diesel, gasoline, and your cooking oil, cooking gas, which is under control. So the time has come, because we have been talking to government about this issue, of setting up systems in place to manage these prices better than how it is.
The piece of legislation, which is still a bill, also makes provisions for the rights of suppliers.
There's a piece of legislation that government has been working with for a number of stakeholders on. They call it consumer, it's not only bill stage, consumer bill. And we are hoping in very, not distance, not too long from now, basically, that we should see an improvement or the enactment of that bill into an act, a consumer act, because it has all the tenets for consumer protection. It's like it works as an umbrella for the consumers, because you look at the rights of the dealers, the traders, that's the suppliers. Also, you have the rights of the consumers. You have a commission that can be set up to when people lodge complaints, that there would be a body that will look at it.
The Consumer Protection Association is hopeful to see government make some traction on getting the bill to be enacted in the near future.
The body in the court of government, and they have to do all in their power to protect consumers. We're working with the Ministry of Trade. That is the ministry that is responsible for the act. And we're hoping that they can circulate that act widely so all the stakeholders can review it, and all the people from government can review it and put their input in it and quickly bring it to a fruition. We don't want this to be just sit on the books. They have been trapped there for a while. It started as a consumer act from, I think, the OECS. There was a regional act, and government took it and started delivering with the Dominica, turned it into a Dominica act now. And we're hoping quickly that the act can come to fruition, and that, as I'm seeing, that the consumer can get that protection they require.
You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. 100 Dominican students who were studying overseas have safely returned to the country. The disclosure by Minister for Education Octavia Alfredo spoke to the media on Wednesday.
We are happy too that our first group of students arrived home on home soil yesterday. I am sure they have no problems following protocols as it relates to COVID-19 or their quarantine period. They are just so glad they are home, and we rejoice with them and their loved ones. Home is truly where the heart belongs. There's no place like home.
More students are expected to return later this month. The ministry is making moves to have all Dominican students who wish to return home to be able to do so safely.
Another group will arrive next week, and it is expected that as the weeks roll by, all our students who express their desire to come home will be home. God has been good to us, Dominica, and we must not frustrate his grace. We must continue to be grateful, and let us not frustrate the grace of God by being careless in observing guidelines from the Ministry of Health.
And a change is on the cards for the assessment of students' academic progress. We go again to Andrea Louis for more.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Chandler Hyacinth, says the ministry is continuously on a drive to enhance children's academic experience and attain higher levels of quality education. Mrs. Hyacinth revealed that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused the ministry to review some of its methods of evaluating school children.
One of the things that COVID-19 has forced us to rethink in the Ministry of Education is how we do assessments. What assessment practices we use. I am of the view that much more has to be done to track a child's progress throughout the system. We must engage in more and increased monitoring, especially to look at how some of our schools function, how teachers teach, what they teach, how they assess.
The Permanent Secretary noted that too much remedial work is needed at the secondary school level, and this is cause for concern.
Sometimes we have to question why it is that so much remediation has to be done at secondary schools. What is happening in our primary schools? And shouldn't remediation be done more in our primary schools? Those are some of the things that we have been rethinking with this COVID-19 pandemic. More monitoring and provision of special support are things we have to put in place. More use of technology, even if it is challenging, but we have to continue with increased use of technology so we can engage and reach our students.
Education officials are looking to see how they can further develop the system so that the Grade 6 National Assessment becomes a thing of the past.
One day soon, we may not even need to have a Grade 6 assessment. So the challenge is to find other assessments that can replace the Grade 6 assessment. And I will just say this point and leave it right here.
The 2020 Grade 6 National Assessment is scheduled for Tuesday, 7th July. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. The Attorney General condemns opposition leaders' statements while Mr. Linton gives reasons for his call for the recusal of Justice Stevenson from election petitions matter. Consumer rights advocates hopeful relevant legislation will be in effect soon, and 100 students who are studying overseas are now safely home. You can access the news on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.